you a ghost?
No, I'm alive. But I'm an alchemist and therefore immortal.
Oh.
Nicolas Flamel.
With the new Fantastic Beasts film, the second in the franchise, J.K. Rowling takes audiences deeper into the world that predated Harry Potter and his friends. Newt Scamander's 1920s New York and Europe are alive with wizardry, magic, and alchemy. Rowling has often drawn from mythology and folklore to create the Potter universe, with key elements like the philosopher's stone and the real-life alchemist who discovered it having a place in true history, strengthening the connection between the alchemists of the past, whose work informed our modern understanding of science, and the wizards of the Potterverse.
Alchemy is an early form of science. It traces its origins back to the ancient world, though its golden age begins in the Islamic world and then moves into medieval Europe. And it will be the basis of modern chemistry, metallurgy, dye making, basically the modern world of science. Even there are those who argue that in alchemy we find the origins of biological science, of evolutionary biology, because alchemy is all about change.
Ridiculous!
Alchemy begins with two basic components, a practical component and a philosophical component. The philosophical component will include the mysticism, the wizardry. The practical component is the chemical making, experimentation. By the early part of the 1700s, the philosophical, theological aspects of alchemy kind of veer off to become alchemy in the magical sense that we understand it today, the kind of Harry Potter view. Whereas the more practical aspect splits off to become modern science. Alchemists are the first people to keep records of their experimental science. They use a lot of the same glassware. They invent most of the same glassware modern chemists use today. And so this is where we see the beginnings of the modern world of science. Experimentation, data collection, direct observation, measuring, weighing.
I checked this out weeks ago, forbidden light reading.
There were a lot of people who were practicing alchemists, but there are a number of well-known historical figures that we know were doing this. Men like John Dee, Robert Boyle, even Isaac Newton eventually. But probably the most famous of all the famous alchemists is Nicholas Flamel, who appears in the Harry Potter movies.
Of course, here it is. Nicholas Flamel is the only known maker of the Philosopher's Stone.
Nicholas Flamel was a French bookseller who lived in the latter part of the 1300s, who gains this reputation as an alchemist who actually discovers the Philosopher's Stone and uses it to make large amounts of gold. Legend begins to say that he discovers a book he's never seen before, which he slowly but surely begins to interpret and discovers that it's a book of alchemy and uses the book, the instructions in the book, to actually create the Philosopher's Stone and make gold. He also supposedly uses it to extend his life. The problem with the Nicholas Flamel story is that while we know he's a real person, all of that attachment to alchemy comes way after he's gone. They're all apocryphal stories, and so we really aren't sure whether or not he was actually an alchemist.
The Philosopher's Stone is a legendary substance with astonishing powers.
The notion of the Philosopher's Stone goes all the way back to ancient Mesopotamia, and it's the idea that there is a certain purity in the universe, that the physical universe is impure. Humans are impure. Most rocks and minerals are impure. But if you could find out how to make this substance that they call the Philosopher's Stone, you could use it to take the impure and make it pure again. So you could take lead and make it into gold. You could take a debased soul and turn it into an angel. You could take a sickly person and make them well. Or you could take a human who had a finite lifespan and essentially grant them immortality. The idea of extending life did not end with the alchemists. Any person you see jogging, any person you see on a diet, any person you see taking vitamin supplements, we're all looking for a way to extend our lifespan. And that is an idea that comes out directly from alchemy, that it was possible to extend human life.
No human could do what this thing is capable of.
And so everything about alchemy is this idea of changing the lesser into the greater. In the modern world, there are still scientists who are trying to change one element into another to find medical cures for different diseases, but we don't call them alchemists anymore. We call them physicists, we call them medical researchers and biologists. And so they are working on some of the same things, but certainly not the idea of trying to turn lead into gold.
Hey, NBC News viewers, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.